possibility scarfs on. I'm going to get straight into it because we got a lot to cover, and I want to make sure those of you who are paying to be inside the room, you guys get a lot. Welcome. And I changed up this a little bit. Why? Because I've been learning about Claude Code and really, really trying to force myself to use it, to get more familiar with it, specifically because I knew I was teaching this class. And I don't think that a lot of people are teaching Cloud Code because it is a more of the advanced feature within Claude itself as a language model. And so I want to put that out there just first off. And it is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be throwing in what we call artifacts, which is something that you can also do in Claude. And this way you have your possibility scarf on while we're going through the training so that at the end of this, whether you're watching for free or you're inside the room and you're going to take the next step to actually implement it, you can make the decision whether Claude Code is the right way for you or whether or not maybe an artifact within the Claude Co-work or Claude cloud base would be more appropriate for you because again, not everybody's in the same boat, not everybody has the same skills, and it just really depends on where you are, your comfortability, and what really you're trying to build. So in today's, we've been talking about how Claude can do amazing thing for you and write for you and do all those things. But today is really focusing on Claude building for you real things like real tools, real forms, real dashboards, working things that you can actually use within your business. And I decided to focus on something that we're going to create together that will benefit you within your business or your life first. And then you can see the possibility. We'll walk through together and I'll show some demos for those of you who are watching for free so that we can go into this, with just honoring everything. So I want to just make sure that we take a moment, take a deep breath, and we honor the lands and the seas from what we're working on. This is something that I like to do for myself for all of my presentations. I'm working and living on Kaneohe Bay, which is on the island of Oahu. It is the unceded land and waters of the Kanaka Maoli, which are the native Hawaiian people, past, present, and future. So I just want to take a breath. Inhale through your nose into your beautiful belly, ribs, shoulders up, back, and down. And for me, this is important because I am a guest on this Aina, the ocean and the grounds that I work on. They are the ones that inspire me for my healings, my teachings, and it really does belong to them first. I really believe that we need to be the stewards of the lands and the oceans that we are living on. Most of us are not native to these lands. So if you want to take a moment, you can drop it in the chat, you can drop it in the Facebook group where you're coming from if you don't know the ancestral guardians of the lands and the seas that you work on. Isabella, I think you're still in Oki, and if that's true, then you are on the lands and the seas of the Ryoku people, which is where I was previously. I was there in Japan with you. So, yeah, she said yeah. So, anyways, that's just something that I like to do. If you've never had that like happen, anybody's not paid that type of just giving us that second to slow down because in the space of AI and entrepreneur and the world, we're so busy. But I think it's really important for us to remember the important things and good reasons why we should slow down. So if you're watching on the Facebook group and you just joined, you don't know really who I am. My name is Anacani Walters. I am the founder and CEO of EmpowerHER Wave. I am a nurse turned entrepreneur and an AI strategist. I'm calling myself the AI doula because my purpose is to do what a doula does for a woman during her birthing. She does not birth the baby for the woman. She creates the space to allow her the space and make her comfortable so that she can check in with her own body and what's going on with her so that she can birth this beautiful baby as well as birthing herself into this new version. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to do for you here. So yeah, I want to just kind of dive in because again, you guys know that I'm big about burnout and it's actually becoming more prevalent as we start to really move in. There's so much that's going on, so many things that are moving at such a fast pace that I really am starting to get more worried about the burnout within entrepreneurs, specifically for women and especially in the wellness industry. Burnout doesn't always look like just full on collapse, people passing out in the street or going to the emergency room. Sometimes it looks like showing up every day, trying to keep things moving, posting all the content, doing all the right things, answering all your emails, and it's slowly in the background, your body's pretty much starting to shut down and go offline. And that's the dangerous part. That's why it's like this silent killer, because you don't know until it compounds so much that your body has no other option but to like erupt into something awful. And what I've learned is that so much of that exhaustion comes from doing what? $7 an hour task with your magic, your zone of genius, your $1,000 an hour energy, because we don't want to let go. We don't want to relinquish some of our control. We don't want to give other people some responsibility because we're in this mindset that nobody can do it like us. And we're like, no, I can't let go. It's a control thing. I get it, especially when you're healing, when you're dealing with people's, whether it's finances or, like high stake decision making roles, but it is keeping you from really being able to connect with yourself, to be present in your life, both professionally and personally. It is helping, it's keeping you from being able to create at your maximum potential. And it is keeping you from being able to connect with your clients and be in that zone of genius that you should be in. So I'm going to introduce you to the tool that handles the $7 an hour tasks that you need to start letting go. And AI is just like the best one to do that if you're really reluctant, if you have this mental block about hiring somebody else. VA, like there's so much deep fakes out now with AI. So I understand that there's another layer to all of that. And also with the fact that, well, some of us are not in the part of our business where we can actually hire other people. And I get that too. So this is really about embracing, again, putting your possibility scarf on. If you are not one of those people that can multitask and do two things at the same time, just listen. Get some cup of coffee. Go get some wine if it's that time of, in your part of the world. Some tea, some kombucha, whatever, and just put your possibility scarf on. Take your decision crown on. You don't need to make no decisions. Just listen to me, okay? Because you're already know how to use Claude. If you're in the bundle, you already know. You've already installed the MD files that I gave you. We've already built out our brand voice. Like you are halfway there. And if you have been following along, Claude should be in your space. You should be using it as your writer. It should be helping you with your emails, your captions for your socials, blog posts, if that's what it is, YouTube's, transcripts. For some, you might be using it for also strategies on what to do next, how to improve. But those are really just words on your screen. You're still having to sit there and have the conversation, type back and forth, and it's still taking you time, so to speak, for a lot of this. Okay. And that's what this is, the next step of now using agentic AI, where we are giving AI a role, something that we want as an outcome, and then we're telling it, here's where you can work. This is what I need you to do. Let's plan, let's brainstorm, and then you're just going to give it the free reins to do what you've asked it to do and have confidence that its little genius brain and all of the things that you are giving it to train it is going to be enough to go do what it needs to do. And this is the part that I think a lot of people are like, pump the brakes, because this part scares me. There are things that you guys can do. You don't have to give it full range. You don't have to give it massive, permissions. We've talked about that when we went over Cowork and Claude Chrome. There are parts where you still get to have that control. You don't have to give it all the permissions. But I showed you the possibility of setting something up where it does have specific permissions to do specific things for you. You run it once so you can physically be there, just like you would watch an intern or an employee that you're training, but like, okay, you saw me how to do it. Now I want you to do it. I want to see you do it. But Again, keyword, I want to see. So you actually watch it and give, and it's going to ask you because it's the first time that it's going to run through it, and it's going to ask you, I need to do this. Do you give me permission? And then you allow, you decline, you adjust it, be like, no, 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 that's not where I wanted you to go. And you were like, no, I declined you the permission to go that way because that's not where you're supposed to be going. You're supposed to be doing this or whatever. Okay. Just like you would a human. And then we go from there. But this is about taking Claude to the next level and actually building things that are working tools within your business. So I really am excited because a lot of people actually don't know that artifacts are something that you can even build within Claude without going to Claude Code. We're going to take it a step further if you want to go that way, but we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to think about because if you're not tech savvy, Claude Code just might not be the best option for you. Like it could take you there, but if you're really like, I'm going to put my possibility scarf on Anacani, and when I need to, I know how to switch on that decision crown, and I'm going to be audaciously courageous, and I'm just going to just have fun with it and see what happens. That's the better version of the mentality that you need to be stepping in if you are completely not code savvy for Claude Code. Um, but there's so much that you can do with Claude without having to get into Claude Code. And I feel like the key answer is artifacts. So before I show you anything, this is kind of the steps. Think of it like this rising tide, just like the ocean does. So the level one was the chat. We already went through that in Claude 101. You understand about the skills, you understand about the basic Claude functions, you understand about projects now and how to organize and brainstorm and strategize with Claude as your co-pilot. Now, that's where you should have started. Step two was the swell, which is the co-work. That's where we actually started to work alongside of Claude. We were still in the room, we were co-working, but while he was doing other things, I was able to do other things too. Okay, we covered that in MC Masterclass 3. And then the third, which we're going to talk about today before we step into the last step, which is 4, is artifacts. And if you're in the chat, let me know if you've even heard of artifacts, or if you're in the Facebook group, let me know if you've heard of artifacts because artifacts are pretty cool. And we're going to build something really cool today. So I hope you're excited. But think of them like almost like apps. That's how I see them. Artifacts to me are like mini apps, and you might have created, or Claude has created artifacts for you. I have not, but I have, but don't understand them. Okay, good. Thank you for pointing that out. We're going to talk about it today. So Claude created this ability to basically create things so that it would be interactive. And for some people like me who are visual learners who cannot really digest written text at mass and comprehend it at a high level, that's where these artifacts come into. And the basic way that I could explain it to you is literally I see them as mini apps. They're just they can you can basically take anything that you want, down to like, let's just say you have a transcript from, I don't know, a training you attended, maybe this one, and you're like, I was good for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then the person just, they went too deep, and I don't understand. Like, I stopped focusing because there was just so much written context and them just voice talking to me without any visuals. So this is what happens to me. I'm basically explaining how my mind works. I tune out. I can't focus because I don't have anything other than their face and their lips to look at like this. And I can't do that for 2, 3 hours. I need you to have some visuals for me. And that's why I have slide decks. Why? Because that is how I naturally learn. I have to see something other than the person talking. I like seeing the person talking because that lets me know that they're actually talking from their zone of genius and not just making stuff up. But I also need to see the visual sides of it because them explaining it might not necessarily trigger that. So let's just say you went through a training and this is all that you got to see. They had no visuals for you at all. They maybe gave you a document. You can literally take the transcript if you have something that takes notes for you, put it into Claude code. I mean, sorry, Claude. Just you can even do it in just regular the chat, and you're going to watch this happen in a second, or you can take it into co-work, which would be sometimes the better option depending on what you're trying to create. Okay. But you can 1000% test it just in the chat. Okay. You can even do it just in the chat and tell it exactly that. I did this training. It was really hard for me to grasp all of the concepts. Take the transcript and this, PDF that they gave me and create an interactive learning artifact for me so that I can better digest it and actually implement what I was learning. And then watch it go. Like it is amazing. Now, for those who want to take it a step further, I've given you guys this before and I've talked about it in previous summits. Something that I really learned from another creator that was like mind-blowingly simple is called 16personalities.com. I'll look for the link and then I'll drop it in the chat. Take that so that you know your personality. Like mine is INFTP, I think is what mine is. And so I now have Claude gave me a document based on my test results from the 16 personalities. And I read it before I read my test results, gave it to Claude, and then saw what Claude gave me to help me bridge kind of my my brand voice to give it just a little bit more context. So if it knows nothing else, it doesn't have any transcripts, at least it has my 16 personality test results, which to me, when I read it, I was like, damn, it is spot on to how I talk, how I interpret things, how I learn. It's crazy. Um, and it gives it just that additional layer. And then I tell my Claude in the custom instructions, I'm a visual learner. It understands that my backstory is that I had an eighth grade reading level up until I was 25, and I didn't read my first actual book until I was 30. I had no real good schooling system. I never had to read a book in high school. I never read any of like Color Purple, Moby Dick, none of that. American classics, psh, I only know them by titles. I don't actually know what the actual stories are about because I never had to read them. Claude knows that so that when it creates my artifacts, they are for me. But you can then customize the instructions. If you're creating this for your clients, then you would give it your clients' ICP information. And we talked about that in Claude 101 when we built out all of our skills. So, Isabella, I know that you got the bundle later after we had already done that. So, I really recommend you go back to our masterclass one so that you can do the walkthrough, download the skills, walk through, build it for your businesses. It also has one for your ICPs, which is your ideal client persona. Okay. Um, so yeah, then the final step is Claude Code. And Claude can be really intimidating. Never would I have thought in a million years, y'all, that I would be able to actually read code. Like, but I can. Now, can I do it like professionally? Not so much. I'm gonna raise this up so you guys can see the whole thing. Um, the fact of the matter is that I can, okay? And that's what I want you guys to like focus on. That it's possible if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to actually understand code to build things with Claude, which is the genius part of it. And it's a little bit like for those of you who know, I use Base 44 for most of my vibe coded apps. However, if there was something that I really thought like this idea, I don't want to just have it vibe code. I really want to have full control, have all of the stuff be built in on my desktop so that it's not out on the web somewhere and really have something that either I could have as an asset for my business if I ever chose to sell it, or something where I wanted to put it out on the market and have people like Shark Tank kind of style thing. Claude Code would be where I would want it to do. Now, the reality is that it might require you to still hire somebody who's a little bit more techy, but that doesn't mean that you can't take it 80%, 90% of the way and then get somebody to like help you finish the race. Like that to me is valid. It's not going to cost you as much. I mean, when I was, what, 20 years ago, I had this really cool idea for an app. But y'all, I didn't have no $20,000 to do like a mock-up from an actual like techie person. I was like, I guess I'm never going to be able to build an app. And here we are. Oh my gosh, 2026. And I've built like a dozen of them. So we are in such an amazing space. And so artifacts, because I think that's where some confusion is with artifacts and Claude code. So artifacts are tools, okay, that Claude builds inside of your chat window. Okay, and we're going to show you one. I even built one for you guys that we're going to use to actually build out our Claude code project. Claude builds it, and then you just click on it, you use it, and you can share it like any other vibe coded thing. It'll give you a special web link, and you just go in and you use it. Okay. There's nothing that you actually need to download. There's no coding that you actually have to do on your end. You're literally chatting back, but like you're playing with the buttons, but like, I don't like the way this does, or instead of this button saying this specific word, I think it needs to say that, or I went through it, but it doesn't really make sense. This isn't what I really wanted. You have this chat back and forth, and it changes it and gives you version until you guys end up with something that you like. Know that every one of those conversations takes tokens, and everything that we are talking in this masterclass requires you to have a paid version of Claude. You cannot, artifacts you can actually do for free, which is why I'm bringing it up for those especially watching for free on the Facebook group. Claude Code, though, you need the actual paid plan, either the Pro or the Max. At minimum, the $20 a month plan. But like I said, if you invested in ChatGPT for $20, I don't know what your hesitation is with trying to invest $20 in Claude. You guys already know how I feel Claude versus OpenAI, so make your decision. That's the decision crown moment that you need to have there. And your starting point here is that Claude Code is the more advanced path. Like, let's just think of it that way. Claude builds the full app, full websites, full tools directly on your computer, on your terminal, okay? It is more powerful. It can handle a bigger scope if you really have like some complex project that you want to build out, but it does require the pro plan and a little bit more tech setup on the back. So artifacts are like the shallow end of the pool, okay? The kiddie pool where you can just like go and it only comes to your ankles. It's safe. The water's usually warmer, probably because it's full of, kids pee pee. Just playing. But maybe some of them pools questionable, especially during summer, and you can get in right away. Okay. No second like thoughts like, "Psh, I got this." Because even if it's cold, it's only my feet. Claude Code is the deep end. If you get in there, you're gonna get wet. Okay. You need to tread some water. You're not gonna be able to touch the floor kind of situation. You have more freedom. It's more powerful. You can do more stuff, dive, hold your breath, practice, searching for stuff, go into floaty, all that things, but you have to be comfortable swimming first. So if this is your first time really getting into vibe coding and just coding in general, like if you don't know what HTML is, you've never used it to create anything, like looked at an HTML code, then I would recommend using artifacts first. Play with that. See, have it be that spark to kind of show you, oh, this is what's possible. If artifacts can do this, then I know it can handle the bigger project. Okay. Hopefully that's starting to make sense. So we're going to build two tools basically today live. We're going to use this thing that I created. And for those of you who are inside the Facebook group, you're actually going to get the artifact to help you through this. But the first one is we're going to do like a client intake form. So you can just see what happens. Okay. It's just like a really built in, very small amount of time. It's super fast. I don't know if he'll build it in 60 seconds. It just depends where Claude is. But you'll see it build an interactive tool in a conversation that we're having. Okay. It's not going to be a mock-up. It's going to be something that you literally, if you're like, this is fire, you can go ahead and be like, okay, I'm going to publish this. It's going to give you a link and you're going to start sharing it with people. Okay. And then we're going to go into like if you are really basic, you don't have an all-inclusive CRM and you really need something where you can like gather people's information, do stuff like that would be the case scenario for that. And then the second one is the CEO check-in dashboard. Okay. Like this is something you would use within your own business to check in for yourself, kind of like your own personalized coach. Like you're going to tell it, you're going to check in the morning, you're going to tell it how you feel. It's going to prioritize your things based on your energy level. It's going to tell you, hey, this is where we're at. These are the things that you're supposed to be doing based on how you're feeling, though. Maybe we should work on this, but these are the things that we need to get done. And then it's going to like help you reflect, do whatever it is that you want. I know I have certain things that I want to make sure I focus on in the morning. I can build that in this tool so that it exists somewhere, whether it's for yourself or something that you want to share with your community, your people, whatever. Um, and you can build it like within seconds. It's pretty crazy, and that's basically what an artifact is. This is an artifact. There's just two simple examples that you can like see it for. And so when you're thinking about building this for yourself, it has three ingredients, just like regular prompt engineering. It should not be anything new here that you should have remembered from MC1 if you were there. The who. You need to tell Claude about you and your business, who you are. Then you need to tell it about your clients if it's something that's going to be client facing. Okay. Your voice, give it your brand, the same three-part prompt that we have been using forever is still in play. The what describes the exact tool that you want to be built. So this is where you might need to think about what in my business takes me a lot of time, or what in my business would I love to have that doesn't exist yet. That's where you're going to have to like be specific with Claude and tell it, this is what I want. Um, and then, like examples. Maybe you want a form with 5 questions to give to your clients to kind of see where your community is and how you can better improve it, or what's the next, quarter of classes that you should be offering, or whatever, or a dashboard with 3 trackers. The more specific, so shit in, shit out, the more specific that you can be, the better it's going to be for what you get out. The how, you need to tell Claude the vibe. What is it that you want? Is this something that you're going to have client facing, or is it going to be for you? So if it's going to be for you, what kind of colors do you want? What kind of feelings do you want it to give you? Does this something that you need to have it be calming, or is it something that you need to have it be like, this is something I'm going to be coming to when I'm feeling the worst in my entrepreneurial journey, and it needs to make me feel like a badass. Like it needs to be powerful. It needs to be like motivating. Or is it something where like this is going to be fun because I'm building this for families? Like whatever it is, you need to tell it so that Claude can match what you actually want. Because if you're not telling it, what did I say before? AI is not a mind reader. Stop treating it as such. It can't just like scour the internet and be like, oh, I know everything about you and I can read your mind. Not yet. It can't. Okay. You actually have to tell it the information first. Then you review what it builds, you ask for the changes, then you make it bigger. You can change the colors, you can add another section. It sometimes is like, I call it the MVP. Start something basic. What are the basic things that whatever it is you need should have? And then once it starts creating, it's like this Pandora box. If you're really creative, it's that spark that you need to be like, damn, I did not think that this was possible. And now my like brain is firing in 1,000 different ways. And I have so many ideas of how this can be. And you become the alchemist that I know is inside of you. Because you're like, holy smokes, I just took an idea and I turned it into gold. That's basically what an alchemist does. Take something that's like price, like it's junk for some people. It's just a rock, turns it into gold. Like, what? Yes. Okay. 10 things that you can build right now to reclaim your time. So those of you who are watching free, you might want to screenshot this. So you can do a client intake form. And again, I'm just putting this out there for those of you who actually have like a full CRM, like high level or something like that's built in with a form. Obviously, you wouldn't want to use this for that unless it's a specific case scenario. Okay. And then we're open to discuss these things inside the Zoom room. The weekly CEO reflection dashboard, that's what we just talked about as an option. Custom pricing in a calculator, okay? Why? Because most women have the hardest time what? Setting prices because we question our what? Self-worth. It is not something to be ashamed about. A lot of us have money blocks. Shit. For it was only what 100 years ago that women couldn't even open a freaking bank account without having their spouse give them permission. So it's no, surprise that we women entrepreneurs have massive money blocks. Those of us who are in the wellness space have even bigger money blocks because we feel this sense of shame or ickiness. How can we ask for money for something that's changing people's lives, saving their lives, healing trauma? Like, I can't ask for money. Yes, we can. Think of it as an exchange of money. Some of us are not there yet. So, a custom pricing calculator can actually help you just give it to you straight, no chasers. This is how much you should be charging. It gives you the math so that you're taking the emotion out of the decision and making it completely analytical. And be like, look, I have money blocks. And so do most other women entrepreneurs that I know. Can you create something that I can use and maybe even share with my community that can help me figure out pricing for all my products because I have massive money blocks and I undervalue myself and I just need something that can give me with removing the emotion from it. Okay. Um, endless contact idea generators. So if you're like one of your things you struggle with is creating content, that would be one of them. Live class schedule, display. So let's just say you needed something to like send your clients to because you're a yoga teacher or something like that. Um, that would be something that you could create. So send your people to so that they can see, like, you just tell Claude, hey, here's my schedule, like voice memo it, voice dump it. You don't have to even like create anything crazy. It does it for you. So if you're one of those that used to create, like, here's where you can find me calendar in Canva, and it takes like what, 2 hours because you got to move all the little things and like, dang, this word doesn't fit and you got to like squish it in or make the cells. No, gone are those days. Tell Claude to create an artifact that you can share with your clients with where you're going to be, when you're going to be teaching, all of this stuff. It can do it for you. All you got to do is give it the information. Maybe you want two calendars, one for paid, one for free. Maybe you want both of them to be there with links for if you're, a paid member, this is click this to see your bonus classes. And if you're watching, if you're on the lower tier, whatever, like you could totally go crazy. You guys starting to see, hopefully, like I'm sparking some stuff in you. Um, Testimonial and praise collector. How many of us need that? Like now more than ever in the age of AI, testimonials are going to be game changing because there's so many deepfakes. There's so many people that are claiming to be actual, people. You can fake testimonials, but when they're actually like real testimonials, it's like, how do I capture them? That can also be a headache, but like, oh, I forget to ask for them, or I asked for them and then I don't remember where I put them. Hey, guess what? That's a problem. And Claude can make a solution for it. A testimonial collector, you just create an artifact, they drop it in there, you give them like the link and they go in there. You can even have Claude be like, I want it to be able to where they can like upload their picture and then give me permission of what I'm allowed to actually share based on their testimony. A business goal tracker with visual progress, you can do that. A session note template you use after every appointment for like a yoga therapist or something. Maybe you just want something that gives you a daily affirmation. Just something to like help you, a Bible verse. If you're like, man, I wish I could like read the Bible more, but I get so caught up and the stuff in that Bible.com app just don't work for me because I wanted to sound like, I don't know, Ellen DeGeneres teaching me about Jesus. Like whatever it is, like you can make it happen. Maybe you want something where you can get a workshop feedback form that you can drop. Like I'm doing a master class, it's going to be free, and then be like, I'm dropping it. I'm dropping a feedback form. Anybody who fills this out is going to be entered for, I don't know, like an hour coaching session with me or something. You can do that with it too. Just pick one, try one, and that is your homework after this session. Just be like, you know what, Anacani? I'm just going to do it. It literally can take you like 2 minutes, you guys. It's not going to be anything crazy. Now, because this was supposed to be about Claude Code, I'm gonna go through this because of the fact that that's why you guys are here. So those of you who are like artifacts, like I'm gonna go ahead and tone out. Go ahead and just start drinking your drink, put on your possibility scarf on, and just listen, just so that you know what's out there, what Cloud Code is, what it's capable of. But I never want to oversell something to you because yes, it builds incredible things, but like full apps, full websites, like really, really developer style stuff that used to cost thousands. And when I say thousands, I'm talking about like 20 to $100,000 to create and a full developer team. You can actually you have the power like in Claude Code to do it. But the catch is that those things live on your computer as files. Okay. They're local on your drive in a terminal. Okay. Like what you see in the Matrix, like all those lines and stuff, like it's the backside of your computer that you usually never see. But to put them online for the world to actually see, you need other things like GitHub pages or Netify. They're free to use, but there's like a learning curve. That's why most people are like, oh, I don't even like GitHub. Like they'll go in there and be like, this, like Discord. I don't know if anybody's like been invited into a Discord community. That shit gives me anxiety. So it's just like that. Why am I forcing myself out of my comfort zone? Because I want to be in that space. I want to see my limitations as a human. I want to learn. Like now's the time to learn and might as well go ahead and like be uncomfortable doing it because I got Claude to make me feel better. Um, and most of you, okay, and this is not like putting you guys down. I think our artifacts are your next move, okay? And I want you to be completely okay with that. There's no shame in it. And I would probably say 90% of the time that's going to be my go-to or base 44, which has a little bit more. It's like the middle ground between code and artifacts, okay? Claude Code is there waiting for you when you're ready. If you have some massively cool artifact that you're like, I need to take it to the next level. I just don't want you to feel rushed. Okay. I don't want you to feel like I have to do this. Claude Code's the next best thing. Like Claude Code is just one. And because we're using it as our other main language model and we're using it for chat and everything else, projects and automations, I think that it just makes sense to keep it all in one house because then you'll be familiar and it'll be less anxious driven for you. But I don't want you to get caught up with the fact that Claude Code's the only way to do certain things. Okay. And for those of you who are ready, you have something fragile you built with maybe some duct tape and a bunch of Zapier and a bunch of prayers. And you're like, this breaks down and it's messing up everything. And if it could just work seamlessly, it would be so cool. But I had other people build it and I have no idea how to do this myself. We're going to build something in the Zoom together. And I have an example for somebody who's actually going to probably watch the replay because I think she's the perfect example. Um, and so this is her. Panda's one of my clients. She's also in the AI Edge Masterclass bundle. So she's going to see the replay for this. Now, she's an astrologer and built this amazing card generator, but it continues to not function. And it has parts where she's like, she understands the basic concept, but to actually go in there and try to fix it herself has not been something that up till now has been feeling like something she is possibly able to do. I believe that Claude Code is that bridge that has now been able to give her the power to feel like, hell yes, I am about to take my frameworks. She's the genius. Okay. Understand that she's the genius behind this app that creates these cards. Why? Because she was doing it manually and created it to save time. So she already knows the process inside or out. All she is literally going to need to do is to tell Claude, this is how I did it. Again, we are being empowered here to train AI on what we need to do. And the beautiful part about doing it with Claude Code is that it's not out there in the webs. Like it's all built on her hard drive. So she has full control, she has full ownership of it and it will help her troubleshoot it. She can tell it. She can do what's called planning and then have it basically be like, okay, I got everything that I need, and then you let it be the zone of genius for coding, because that's Claude Code has gone to a point where it's better than most coders in the world, to the point where like it's good at hacking, like coding kind of thing. Okay. And so it's really capable of taking something that you know how to do. This is where we relinquish that power. You're the best at it. And when you try to give it to somebody else, they just, without having all that knowledge base inside of your brain, it's just been an impossible thing to hand off to a human. Okay. Well, now Claude doesn't need to understand that part because we're giving it all the information. This is how I talk. This is my framework. This is where I get the information. This is what I need as my outcome. Make it happen, Claude. And be like, got it. I got you. It's not going to sometimes be one and done, but it's definitely going to be fun and done. Like you get to play with it. You get to see and put yourself in this situation. You're like, damn, I can actually build this? Like, what? Time and time again in the right circles, I'm like, I don't know how to code and I just built this. Like they get excited. Like I always thought about making this, but never in a million years did I think that I would actually be able to do it. Okay. So three things that you need to be able to do if you're going to go Claude Code route. You need to gather your context. Again, we are in the middle of a typhoon. My power is starting to mess. Oh, no worries. You'll get the replay. Okay. No worries. I'm happy to support you and send you guys good vibes. I realize, yeah, I remember, dang, I meant to check up on some people. So, good thing to know that you're with me because that means that you're safe and you haven't been typhooned away. Um, you're basically creating skills that you might need to have supported based on your frameworks, based on your voice, based on who you're targeting or who it's serving, so that Claude has all of that stuff before you go into step two, which is formulating that plan. Now you've given it all the tools. So if you skip step one and go to step two and just tell Claude, this is what I want, without giving it the context, you basically are like hiring somebody new, giving them an office, not giving them a computer, not telling them anything about yourself, not telling them any links, and then just being like, okay, this is what I need you to do, and expect them to give you something amazing, and then wonder why you're like, what? Why have you just been sitting here doing nothing? Or what did you just give me? This is like something a 5-year-old would give me. Don't get mad at it. Get mad at yourself. You have awful management skills because a good leader and manager would not do that. They would probably train their employee. What the difference is that what used to take 2 months to train a human can sometimes take like 2 hours to train Claude. You just have to put in the work beforehand. If you're going to be being lazy, Claude Code is not the right way. Like you can still do stuff with it, but you're going to have a headache. You're going to complain the whole time. It's not going to be fun. You might not get what you want, and you're going to use up a lot of tokens because it does cost. I mean, it's not free. You got to still use your tokens. And if you're on the pro plan, for some of you, you guys know that that stuff can get eaten up really quick. So being intentional and really understanding what you want before you go to Claude is the best thing. Okay. Step two, formulate your plan. That's where the plan, Claude has a plan mode where you have the discussion and start like Q&Aing it. What this is like some of the stuff that I do. Like, what can you do for me? This is some of the stuff that I'd like to be able to create a code, like an app for, or a dashboard, or something, a code version of this. What can you do? You start asking it questions, and it's in that Q&A that you start to build this relationship. Claude really starts to get to know you. It starts to ask you questions. You get to ask it questions, and then you guys come to this beautiful blueprint that then you get to review it and be like, all right, this isn't exactly what I want, but this is a good start. This is what I need you to change. Got it. And then it's just this back and forth, just like you would in a regular chat. And then you get to that beautiful step where you're like, Claude, go build it. And then you test what it gives you. This worked, this didn't. Change this, change that, just like you would in the regular chat, but it's just on a higher level. And then you repeat that until you get it right. And then the hard part is actually doing the GitHub, figuring out who's going to host it, and all of that stuff. The cool thing is that I feel like Claude is this ecosystem where it can help you create some of this stuff for you. Now, this is really important because I'm investing in a lot of coaching programs because I, as an AI educator, want to make sure that I'm doing the right stuff. And these are also things that for me are, I'm a value-driven creator. So ethical AI use is very big on my priority list as I'm teaching, as I'm using AI. So I want to make sure that everybody here understands that every time you use AI, I want you to run through this framework that I got from my coach, Nikki Sweeney, who gave us permission to share this with as many people as we can because of the fact that she is such an advocate for ethical AI use. Okay. So this is like kind of my take on it, but she's got a similar framework and it's basically PACT. So you need to start asking yourself, especially if you start coding something that's going to be client facing, what is the purpose? Like, why am I using AI for this? Is this the right tool for the task? Who's going to benefit and who's going to be disadvantaged? It is no question that all major language models have built-in biases, specifically to people of minority groups and women. So when you start to create something, is it something that is going to affect those populations? When you ask yourself, is AI the right tool? Is it something that your clients are going to be comfortable with the fact that you're using AI? Is it something that there's going to be privacy data issues? And maybe AI is not the right option. And maybe hiring a real developer who actually codes by hand would be the better option so that you're not, compromising privacy issues. Okay. Could it, then you're going to start to think about the, so this one is, sorry, incorrect. I forgot to change this. A is supposed to be for audit. So that is about checking the output for actual biases. Is this inclusive? This is where you, as your, treat Claude like an employee. That's how it should be treated, not your BFF, not your friend, okay? Not somebody cute. You can name it, I don't care. But understand that you should be treating it as an employee. I'm not saying be nasty to it, but you need to have some hierarchy of like, don't just take what it gives you, start questioning it. Go through it and say, okay, if it's a result driven something that you're creating, ask it. Based on the results that you're outputting from what you created for me, is it inclusive? Is there going to be any underlying biases to women or any minority groups? Be honest and tell me. Is this going to be inclusive? If it is not, let's come up with some ideas of how you can make it inclusive. Could it unintentionally exclude or hurt anyone? Prime example, employers or businesses who are trying to use AI to go through resumes for them. I already did like a whole carousel about it, that there was a huge study in Forbes where they sent out the same exact AI manufactured resume. One was, all they did was change the names of the person that was using it as their application or their resume. One was a male name, the other one was a female name. That's the only difference. They sent it to, I think, like 100 or 1,000 companies. And there was so much negative feedback from the female version saying that she doesn't know how to use AI. She's like completely incompetent. She was less likely to be considered for the application, because of the fact that it was just a female. That was humans actually doing it. So we already know that the language models have built-in biases for towards women, period. Okay. That's not really something that can be argued against, as well as people of ethnic, Black people, Mexicans, Asians, all of them. Okay. If you're creating something like that, to help you go through resumes, you need to start using your critical thinking and cognitive skills to challenge the language model who's helping you build it to make sure that it understands that those are things that it is not allowed to do. It needs to be inclusive. It needs to make sure that it is not making any decisions solely based on race or gender. Okay, this is your empowerment moment. You need to start thinking at this level. C is critical thinking. Am I actually reading this with my own eyes and my own values? Or am I just copying and pasting it? We just talked about cognitive offloading. I did a whole podcast episode on it. That is where people who are really afraid about cognitive decline and creative industry, like people, basically getting dumber using AI, it is true. The current generation, like the teens and the 20-year-olds, their cognitive thinking is like, but that's not all AI. A lot of that is also social media, but AI is not helping in the situation. And it's because people aren't being properly trained and they're literally just taking the lazy way out and just copying and pasting, assuming that AI is going to, like, perfect. It's a genius. Why would it make mistakes? They're also creating content that they don't have any back knowledge of. So, prime example, people who are using AI to create like college essays, professors are starting to notice that they get, like, they write beautiful essays, they get an A, but when they go back and they try to question the student on the subject, the student has no ability to talk about the subject matter because they never took the time to actually go back and reread the actual essay of what they wrote about. That is cognitive offloading. We do not want to be doing that. You still need to read it, and you never want to take the first response that it gives you, whether it's an artifact, whether it's um, a, a website, anything. Read through it. Make sure that it actually makes sense. Ask it questions. What made you decide to use this type of copy? For the output, exactly what I just told you. Are there going to be anybody who's going to be disadvantaged from what we just created? And why? Why did you create it that way? So that you can also understand where it's coming from. And then you're like, we need to fix this. What can ask me some questions so that we can come up with a solution so that this never happens again. And then transparency. Are you being honest with your clients about your use with AI? We need to start updating our policies and privacy agreements to making sure that we're disclosing if you're using things that utilize AI, whether it's to, you know, like if you're creating something for testimonials that you're using AI to help you do an analysis to see where your pain points are. And you have to make the decision because if you know that your clients are going to be like, I don't want you using AI, I'm not going to, I'm not going to buy from you if you're using AI. That's a decision that you have to make. But I think being honest about it, whether it's a negative consequence or a positive, that's like values and morals that you already need to come into the play with. Okay. Um, and then this needs to happen every time. It's not optional. This is what it is to be integrity driven and building with a human first ethical mindset. Okay. So, again, AI was trained on the internet, and the internet is not unbiased. So, when any language models, this doesn't have to just be for Claude, it could be for any language model, write something for you or build something out for you. You need to read it with your own eyes and filter it with your own heart and double check that it reflects your values. Check with it that it's speaking to everybody and not being exclusive, that it's actually serving the people that you are trying to serve. And remember that you're the author, you're the one that actually ultimately is putting it out there. And so never use AI as your ghostwriter. AI is your assistant, and it should never be the other way around. Disclose your AI use in your policies because we don't need to be ashamed that we're using AI, but we should be honest about it because otherwise you're going to put yourself in a snowball situation that's not going to be healthy for you or your clients. Okay. So we're going to go and step into the room, but I do want to show you a little bit of what's possible with artifacts and just building it. Um, so let me get my Claude up. I'm gonna drop a resource pack with those of you in the So I'm going to give you this, Isabella, and those of you who are watching the replay, it'll be in the description. You can just open this up and have it. Again, you don't have to like do anything just yet. We're going to go to Claude first, and you guys are just going to watch me do this. And we're just going to do it in the chat so you guys can see. Now, I want you to, I want to show you something before we get into this. So let me share my screen again. I gotta change my eCam because for this, I don't care if you guys see, but for some things, I don't want the people watching for free. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't want you guys like getting my stuff. All right. So this is Claude. Now notice here on the upper left-hand side, under projects, there's this one here called artifacts, okay? You can start here, and these are the artifacts that I've currently built within my thing. So if you don't really know, like, I wonder if I've built an artifact with Claude already and didn't even know it, you can totally just come here and then it'll show you all the artifacts that you've possibly created already. You can click new, and these are all the cool things that it's already like built as like templates. Think of them as templates. So if you want to do like an app or a website, because the similarities in time in the type of coding is the same for both. Documents are templates. If you want to create a game, like, man, I would love to make myself like a customized Sudoku game that, I don't know, rewards me with, I don't know, whatever. Like you decide. If you need something for like productivity, if you want to create like some type of a creative project, prime example, well, this would be more for coded, so I'm not going to go into that. A quiz or a survey, I gave you guys that. Or maybe you just want to start from scratch. You can click any of these if you start from scratch. It's going to start a conversation just like this. Okay. And so I have a prompt. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you guys so that you guys can have it. I don't know if anyone's watching in the Facebook group, but if you guys are like, hey, I'm dropping comments in the Facebook and no one's responding, it's because I usually don't respond to that. Um, okay. So it's gonna just start a conversation with you. We're gonna drop the same prompt that I just put into the Zoom and the Facebook group. So build me an interactive client intake questionnaire for a wellness business. Again, you can change wellness business and put in whatever your business is. Include fields for name, email, what brings them in today, any health concerns, their goals for our work together, and how they heard about me. Make it beautiful with a calming teal and color cream. You guys put in your own branding fonts or whatever. Add a button, submit button that shows a warm thank you message. And then, okay, so we're just going to start there because I just want you guys to see it. And then I have my brand voice, so I could be like, use my Empower Her Wave brand voice because it already has that skill. And Claude is smart and it's going to go ahead and pull that skill for me so that we can, I don't have to like actually remind it. So those are you guys that are in the free version. I'm just going to show you this one and then we're going to go into the private Zoom because I see the time. So you can see architecting a warm on-brand intake form with React. So it's even telling you what it's actually using to create with it. So I'm going to build you a calming on-brand intake questionnaire. It's giving me my hex codes. And look as it's starting to actually code it out for me. Okay. So this is basically what an actual coder or developer would be doing for you. They actually are trained to understand these specific formulas of what they have to do. You can see all the stuff that it's doing. You can see right here form state. So this is the part where it's actually creating the form itself. How do I know how to read some of this? Is because I've been in there. Claude Code has empowered me to really be able to like, whoa, I can like actually see this stuff for myself. So while it's doing that, I'm going to open up another one and I'm going to show you, actually, it's here. Prompt pack. So this is the prompt pack for those of you guys get all this stuff, everything that we literally talked about. I give you guys some prompts in addition to that. Oh no. Well, maybe I waited. Okay. I will give you guys the other one in a second. I think, oh, I know where I put it. I put it inside the actual thing. But let's just say I wanted to get like a blog. I don't know who uses Substack. So this is a Substack article from Nikki Saunders. I really love her and just her vibe. And be like, I have this blog. I'm gonna give it to it. And I need you to help me make it interactive. So not only can I understand the topic and her point, but also how to apply it to my own business and take action. So okay, but I want to feel like I'm taking inspired action within my own business. Okay, so I'm going to write. So let's go back to this one. So now we already have this. So what you'll see here is you have um, two little like toggles. The first one is the eye that lets you know that that's what you can actually see. The second one is this one where you can actually go in and see the code. If you don't know how to code, then don't worry about it. Just pay attention to this one. That should be good enough, okay? Um, and this is where you don't just be like, okay, cool, and then just publish it and like share it. You actually need to go in there and look how it says your beautiful name. Ah, I love that. So that means that it really understood. So empower her wave. Welcome, beautiful soul. Before we begin, I'd love to understand where you are and where your heart wants to go. Ah, how beautiful is that? There are no wrong answers here. Just take a breath and share with what feels true. Okay. So my brand voice is there. Your beautiful name. So I'm gonna write, fill it in as like if I was myself and I'm like my own, and let's just say I know that most people are probably just gonna put their first name. And how will they reach me? And I'm just gonna use my email. What brings you here today? Um, I'm stressed in my business and I'm not making any money. Need help creating content that actually helps me make money. Okay, just put that, and your body or mind is navigating right now. So, health concerns, injuries, stress. So, I'd be like, yep, stress is a big factor because I'm short on time and feel behind with all the tech and just feel burnt out doing things the manual way. Okay, I'm just like, I would hope that this is how the people that I'm attracting. What would you love for us to create together? I would love an automation system that feels safe and actually helps remove stuff off my plate. Okay. How did we hear each other? Ooh, look at that. It gave me a drop down. I didn't even ask for that. And it even put my YouTube channel, you guys. I'm just gonna say a client referred me because that's usually let's begin our journey. Thank you, Anacani. Everything you have shared is safe here. I've received your words and I'm ready to hold space for you for the work we'll create together. Take a slow breath in and long exhale out. You've just taken the first step towards beautiful. Okay. So then it'd be like, okay, so I went through it and it's beautiful because praising him allows us to make sure that the language model understands it did a good job. It actually will perform better. They've done studies about it, so it's not just like hearsay. And it's beautiful. Great job. But where did all my answers go? How will I be able to review them as the person requesting the intake questions? Okay. So now we're just like, okay, well, this is great. Oh, you know what, you guys? We want to go. So notice here that it is on 4.8. 4.8 is like taking up a lot of points. I'm going to leave it just because, but know that you might want to take a little bit of time. In you guys' resource pack, I actually gave you what Claude's for. So I know sometimes it can be really hard to understand like the difference between sonnet, opus, haiku, the rule of thumb for when to use which one. And so this one tells you exactly which one you should be using. And then the level of it, is based off of what you're comfortable with, maybe how much tokens you have, how good you need it to be, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm just going to leave it. So it's not reviewing it. Weighing immediate dashboard versus production integration path. And again, this is that vibe coding like version of code. Architect a review dashboard with storage and privacy safeguards. Okay. So it's thinking for some of the stuff that I told you to start asking or thinking about from a pract. If I'm asking this stuff and it's giving me their name and their email and they're giving me relatively sensitive information, one of the things that I need to make sure after it's built out is we need to make sure that we're safeguarded. Okay. Great question, and I'm so glad that you caught it because right now the honest is nowhere. Okay. The version you tested was a front end demo. When someone hit submit, their answers live only in the browser's temporary memory and vanish the moment the page closes. Before, beautiful experience for the client, but nothing reached you. So let me fix that. I've added a private practitioner view so the submissions are actually saved and you can review every one of them. And then I'd be like, well, how would you differentiate? And so this would be something where I'd be like, you know what? I would rather have this in base 44, but it doesn't mean that I can't build it here. But this are some of the things that you're like, I should have thought about that before I just asked it to. For me, look at this artifact that it built for me. Interactive workshop. Find your Instagram blind spots based on Nikki Saunders' blog, customized for your brand. All I gave it was a Substack article, you guys, and it built this crazy ass thing. Here's your interactive workshop built from Nikki's blog. Instead of just reading it, you can work through it step by step, and it's customized for all three of your brands. Did you guys hear that? All three of them. So it understands that I have Empower Her Wave and my Yoga Magic, which are my two service-based businesses that Empower Her basically powers. So, step one, the big idea breaks down Nikki's core point in a visual side by side format, the old exhaustion manual versus the new AI powered blueprint. Okay. Step two, why you can't see it, uses a yoga teacher analogy because that'll land for you way more than a generic explanation. Notice how it already knows how I want to be taught, things that work for me, plus a tap to reveal your show cards. So, Nikki's So in 60 seconds, the core truth, the old way, the new way, key takeaway. Boom. Why you can't see it. It gave me this. Tap to reveal what Nikki's mirror showed for her. And so this is just telling me what it happened for her, and I can close it. Like, look how interactive it is. And it's basically created like a little mini teaching session. So the blueprint method, pick 4 to 6, 3 to 4 characters. So choose characters in your niche, whose content consistently performs, not necessarily the biggest, the ones whose audience overlaps with yours. Your move, you who are 3 to 4 creators in the wellness plus AI plus woman entrepreneur space you admire. Think who's reaching your woman. All right. Finding their outliners, the stack patterns, compare your thing. Okay, cool. And then my blind spots. This is now giving me an interactive version so that I can take everything that I just learned about her blueprint method and essentially applying it to my own business. And I can do this. It wants me to do it for all 3 of mine. And then I would finish it. And then I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's going to give, look, it has 2 more sections. So I'm pretty sure that the next 3 things, it's going to give me like my own thing. What? Oh, I'm about to rock this. So that's that. So those of you who are watching free in the Facebook group, I hope you understand now the difference between an artifact and using Claude Code for that intake form. You would then be able to be like, you know what? I think this is something that I want to build in Cloud Code. Can you go ahead and give me a prompt to go into my Cloud Code on my desktop and continue where we left off? That would be how I would like prompt that. So, those of you who are watching live, just letting you know, we are going to go into the Facebook group. Thank you so much. You can get a pass for today's class. It's just a la carte. You no longer can actually opt in for the bundle. So any of the other class, if you want Cloud 101, Cloud Cowork, that is something you're going to have to purchase on your own. So continue to be you, continue to be beautiful, continue leading from your heart. Have a great, fantastic week.